No one believes me. Not my parents, not my coworkers, not my mates at the pub. They think I'm making it up or having some kind of breakdown. Maybe I am. All I know is I didn't imagine what happened. I'm not crazy. I'm a tree surgeon. That's what I do. Climbing trees, cutting back branches, removing dead ones, saving the ones that can be saved. Been doing it for 10 years. I've seen weird stuff. Angry squirrels. Owl attacks. One time I found a human jawbone in an oak tree. No joke. But what happened last month? That broke something in me. I've been off work since. I tried to forget it, tell myself it was stress. But then the dreams started. Then the music. And I know, she's not gone. It all started with a call. Routine job. Woman named Mrs. Featherstone said an old pine tree was rotting at the base and leaning toward her home. Said she was scared it had come down in a storm. Her voice was soft and shaky, like she'd been crying, or maybe had smoked her throat dry. I took down her address and told her I'd come out Thursday after finishing a job nearby. Thursday came and I finished early, so I headed to her place just before noon. House was off. It was big, old-fashioned, too large for one person. Gables and ivy, blacked-out windows. The kind of house that might have been grand a century ago, but now felt forgotten. The air was thick, heavy, like the yard hadn't seen sunlight in years. I parked at the end of a crooked gravel driveway. The tree in question was huge, massive pine leaning at a dangerous angle. It would have crushed the east wing of the house if it fell. I stepped out of the van to get my gear when I heard it. Glass breaking, then shouting. Voices. Deep, guttural ones, like a group of men arguing in a language I didn't know. Then a scream. Not a normal scream either. This one was stretched out and high-pitched, like someone being torn in half. I looked up. Top floor window. There she was, Mrs. Featherstone, flailing her arms like she was in a full-blown fit. I froze. She turned her head to look at me. Fast. Too fast. Her eyes met mine and she vanished from the window. Not ducked. Vanished. Gone in a blink. I hesitated but eventually walked to the door and knocked. It took a while, but she answered. Small, thin lady, bent with age. Hair white and wiry. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Stay there, young man," she said. "These old legs don't move like they used to." I wanted to ask if she was okay, if everything was all right upstairs, but I kept my mouth shut. She led me through the house toward the back garden. The inside was chaos. Floorboards creaked, walls were stained. The stench hit me hard. Not just dust and damp, but something worse. Urine, feces, vomit, and, strangely, baked beans. Cold ones, smeared on the walls, the floor, even the ceiling. Cans everywhere, some unopened, some crushed. She didn't explain. I didn't ask. I just followed her to the backyard. The tree was worse up close, rotted, split at the base, fungi growing out of deep cracks in the bark. Should have had at least 2 groundsmen for the job, but mine bailed last minute. I decided to do what I could from the ground. As I worked, I felt her eyes on me. I looked up. She was at the top floor window again. Same window, same stare, still, unblinking. The hair on my arms lifted. I tried to ignore her, trimming low branches and dragging them aside, but she didn't move. Not for an hour. just stared. I finally waved at her, trying to shake the weirdness off with a bit of humor. She laughed. "I've never heard anything like it." Her jaw dropped twice as wide as it should have, unhinged like a snake's. The laugh was choppy, metallic, like a recording being played backward. She tapped on the glass with one long, yellowed finger, then started singing. "You're coming to take me away, ha-ha." That damn song. Nursery rhyme or something. But the way she sang it, slow, off-key, whispering at parts, rattled me. I packed up, didn't say goodbye. Climbed over the side fence instead of walking back through the house. Drove away, shaking, checking the mirror every few seconds. Just before the road curved, I saw her again. Sitting in the middle of the street, legs crossed, waving. I didn't work the next day. Couldn't. Tried to chalk it up to stress. Maybe dementia. Maybe a prank. But I couldn't get the sound of her laugh out of my head. That night, around 9 p.m., I heard it again. Faint. That stupid song. "I'm coming to take you away, ha-ha." I froze. It was coming from outside. I turned off the TV, crept to the window, and looked out. There she was, at the end of my driveway, still in that same dress, spoon in hand, singing. I wanted to believe it was a prank, a friend messing with me, but I knew it wasn't. I opened the door a crack. "Hey, you need to leave, now." She didn't stop singing, just tilted her head like a bird. I slammed the door, locked it, backed away, took a breath. Then, like an idiot, I looked through the peephole. Her face was right there, no space, just skin, eyes, wrinkles pressed against the lens, and her eyes, dead, glossy, too many veins. I stared back, couldn't move. Then came the pounding. Not knocks, full punches, kicks. The door rattled in its frame. I stumbled back, grabbed my phone, dialed the police. But by the time I got through, the noise had stopped. They said they'd send someone. They didn't. I didn't sleep, just sat on the couch all night with a bat in my lap. Next morning, I checked the driveway. Nothing. No prints, no beans, no proof. Just a clean stretch of concrete. People stopped calling me for work after that. Word got around that I was having a rough patch. Whatever. I tried to move on, but it didn't stop. Now it's not just her. Last week I went out to grab groceries. Came home to find my bathroom filled with pine needles. The drains gurgled with brown water that smelled like mold and rot. 3 days ago, I caught a reflection in the hallway mirror. It wasn't mine. And last night, I found a cold can of beans on my pillow. Still sealed. Still humming. I know what this sounds like. I'd laugh too if I wasn't living it. But here's the thing. I went back. I know. Stupid. But I needed answers. The house is empty now. Boarded up. Police tape around the porch. I asked a neighbor. They said Mrs. Featherstone died 5 years ago. House had been abandoned since. They never found a body. Only thing left behind was a silver spoon and a tree that won't stop growing, even though it's rotted straight through. I'm writing this now because I don't think I have long. The music's back. Closer. And I can smell beans. This happened just a couple of years ago when I was 15. It was July, full heat, full boredom, and I was crashing at my friend Riley's place. There were 4 of us that night. Me, Riley, Chase, and Theo. I'll stick to those names for clarity. None of us want to be linked to this night. We'd just gotten back from one of those late-night indoor dodgeball gyms, the kind with music too loud and lights too bright. We were dead on our feet, but still buzzing, not ready to call it. After some cold pizza and trash-talking over a broken controller, someone floated the idea of going for a walk. I was hesitant. New neighborhood, unfamiliar streets, and a lot of it still under construction. But I figured, we're in a group, it's a safe suburb, and if something happens, we've got phones and 4 decent pairs of legs. That was mistake 1. We wandered through Riley's neighborhood, a modern maze of winding sidewalks, neat lawns, and enough porch lights to make it feel like daylight. The streets curved perfectly, the houses all looked like copies of each other, and the only real risk was stepping on a sprinkler head. Eventually, we reached a dead end. On the other side of a wide drainage ditch, there was a gap in a chain-link fence, barely visible in the dark. Beyond it, dirt lots stretched out in every direction. Chase pointed to it. "That's Hollow Creek," he said. "The other side? They started building it, then just stopped." We stood there, unsure. It looked empty, half-finished roads and street signs standing crooked in the ground. "There's supposed to be a shortcut to the park back there," Theo added, like that explained why we should go in. Riley didn't even hesitate. He was already slipping through the gap. "Come on, let's just check it out. If it sucks, we turn back." That was mistake 2. Once we were inside Hollow Creek, everything felt wrong. The light was gone. No street lamps, no porch lights, just the faint glow of stars above, swallowed by thick clouds. The silence pressed down on us. The fun, cocky vibe we had back on the paved streets vanished. It felt like we had walked into a photo negative of Riley's neighborhood. And then we saw it. A house. Just one. Perched at the edge of what used to be a cul-de-sac, it looked wrong in a way I couldn't place. Too old. Too out of place. Like it had been dropped here by mistake. No other houses stood near it. Just dirt and weeds and a torn-up sidewalk. There was a dim porch light on. And of course, that's the moment Chase decided it was the perfect house to ding-dong ditch. I told him to forget it. It was already past midnight. But Riley egged him on, and Theo laughed, so of course I didn't want to be the only chicken. That was mistake 3. Chase crept up, knocked 3 sharp times, and sprinted back behind a pile of broken bricks where the rest of us were hiding. We waited. Nothing. Then, upstairs, a light snapped on. We took off, laughing, shouting, running blindly back the way we came. Except we took a wrong turn. A dead-end street branched off, and we followed it too far. And by the time we realized, we weren't anywhere near the gap in the fence. We stopped to regroup, panting. Then Theo froze. "Someone's behind us," he whispered. I turned and saw him. A man, standing dead under one of the few streetlights, not moving, just staring. And he was completely horrifyingly naked. From the distance, we could still see too much. Skin that sagged like melted wax. A belly that hung like it was full of wet cement. Hair everywhere and nowhere. His body a patchwork of gross detail. But the worst was his face. He was smiling. like a kid seeing ice cream, like he knew something we didn't. And his head, it wasn't straight. It tilted hard to the left as if it had been broken and left that way. None of us spoke. We just watched him. He didn't move, didn't shout, just stared. Then he turned away. Relief hit me like a wave. Then I saw it. He wasn't walking away. He was walking backwards, fast. The smile never broke. That was mistake 4. Waiting too long. We ran, full sprint. I don't think I've ever moved so fast in my life. My legs stopped hurting. My lungs stopped burning. I wasn't even thinking. I just knew I had to move. But Hollow Creek wasn't a loop like Riley's neighborhood. It didn't circle back. It ended. And when we hit that final dead end, blocked by thick trees and a rusted construction fence, we knew we were screwed. We could hear him now. His footsteps, his voice, calling something in this high-pitched cartoon tone. Come out! Come out! It sounded like Mickey Mouse on helium, except there was something underneath. Something low and guttural, like 2 voices fighting to speak at once. I scanned the houses on either side of the street. Just shells. But one backyard had a patch of thick pine trees. I pointed and we bolted. "Wanna play hide and seek?" it said, that squeaky falsetto dragging each word. Then something heavy shifted in the dirt behind us. That's when we broke. No plan, no timing, just blind panic. We scrambled through the side gate and ran. I didn't look back. I didn't care if the others followed. I just ran. Eventually, the clean edges of Riley's neighborhood reappeared, lit like a savior. I didn't stop until we were inside his garage with the door shut behind us. We collapsed on the floor. No one said anything. We didn't check our phones. We didn't call anyone. We just sat there. Eventually, Riley whispered, "He wasn't normal." We nodded. None of us knew how he moved that fast. None of us knew how he found us in the yard. And none ever saw that house again. We went back in daylight a week later. The path was still there. The dirt lots still stretched for miles. But the cul-de-sac was gone. No house, no porch light, just a crater where a sewer was being installed. We didn't talk about it after that. We don't hang out at night anymore, and none of us will ever ding-dong ditch again. I live in a decent neighborhood, not fancy, not poor, just your typical middle-class place. Rows of similar houses, backyard grills, basketball hoops in driveways. It's quiet, safe, predictable. Growing up, my best friend was a kid named Mark. Still is, honestly. We've been tight since we were in grade school, always hanging out, always finding something stupid or reckless to do together. Back then, we were around 13, old enough to think we were grown, young enough to still act like idiots. Our neighborhood butted up against a huge stretch of woods, and we knew every inch of it. We built forts, climbed trees, even named certain trails after ourselves or made up places. Most of it was harmless fun. Until that one day. We'd decided to explore the deeper part of the woods, an area we hadn't really touched before. It was a little further than we usually went, past the creek and behind the old construction site. We packed a backpack with snacks, a flashlight, and a couple of dull pocket knives we thought made us look cool. The sun was high, birds chirping, and we were just messing around, throwing sticks, quoting movies, trying to climb every tree we saw. Then we saw something. It stuck out, maybe 30 yards off the trail, half buried in a shallow ditch. At first, it looked like a pile of junk, white and rusted, partly covered in dead leaves and dirt. But the closer we got, the more it looked like a car. An actual car. In the middle of the woods. Mark was all over it immediately. He ran up to it, climbed on the hood, stomped like he was Godzilla. "Dude, it's a car," he shouted. "What the hell's a car doing out here?" I hesitated. Something about it felt wrong. I don't know why. It wasn't scary, exactly, just off. The air around it felt colder, stiller, like sound didn't quite carry the same way near it. And yeah, we were definitely on someone's property, though we had no idea whose. But curiosity won out. It always did. The car was an old convertible, or maybe it used to be. The top was gone, cut off, not torn. Clean, like someone had sliced it with a giant knife. The back tire on the left side had sunk completely into the dirt. Vines crawled over one side like nature was trying to swallow it whole. Inside, it was empty. No seats, no dashboard, just a metal shell. But the trunk, that was still closed. We had no idea how to pop a trunk, so of course we started beating on it like cavemen. We tried sticks, then rocks, then both. After a while, Mark found a big flat rock and used it like a battering ram, slamming it down until we heard a snap. The trunk creaked open. Immediately, that smell hit us. Mold, metal, and something else, like an attic that hadn't been opened in decades. Inside, sitting perfectly upright in the middle of an otherwise empty trunk, was a wooden box. We didn't open it there. Something told us not to. I kept looking toward the tree line, half expecting some old guy with a shotgun to come yelling at us. So we took the box and left. Back at Mark's house in his cluttered garage, we finally opened it. It wasn't easy. The latches were rusted, and we had to pry them open with a screwdriver. Inside were a few black and white photographs of a boy with long hair, just standing in what looked like a field. His expression was completely blank. His eyes stared right into the camera like he could see you. There was also a necklace with a black cord and an odd silver charm, an upside-down star in a circle. And then, strangely, a box of matches. That was it. We showed a few kids in the neighborhood the next day. There was a little area in the woods where a few of us had built forts, crudely tied together branches and old boards nailed between trees. We stashed the box in our fort and left it there, planning to come back later and figure out what to do with it. But when we returned the next day, everything was different. Our fort was destroyed, like completely collapsed. The other forts nearby were untouched, just ours, smashed to the ground. At first, the other kids blamed us, said we must have broken it ourselves for attention. But when we dug through the mess, we found something worse. The photographs. They were scattered across the floor, pinned to broken branches, each one burned through the eyes. Like someone took a lighter and deliberately melted just the eyes out of every photo. The necklace was gone. The matchbox was empty, and none of us had been there since the day before. Mark and I were freaked, but we didn't want to show it. We made up some theory about older kids screwing with us, but it didn't add up. We searched the area, thinking maybe the necklace had been dropped. Nothing. A few days passed, then weird things started happening. I was at Mark's house one evening when his dad offered to drive us to the gym where he taught classes. We didn't feel like working out. We just wanted to mess around and hit the vending machines. On the way there, I was digging through the back of the van for my hoodie when I saw it. The necklace, the same one from the box. I showed Mark and his face went pale. We told his dad, trying to sound casual, like it was a joke. He just laughed and said, "Spooky stuff, huh?" Then he opened the van door and chucked the necklace down the storm drain. There, problem solved. That night I didn't feel like going home. My parents were fighting and I was still spooked, so I stayed over at Mark's. Later, we decided to walk to my house to grab an Xbox controller. I had a German Shepherd named Tank. Huge, loyal, and mean as hell if you weren't family. When we got there, the house was dark, but the garage door was unlocked, so we slipped in. As soon as we stepped inside, we heard a voice. Deep, slow, cold. "Welcome home, Josh." I froze. Tank, who was always by the door when I came home, was standing completely still in the hallway, staring into the darkness. His fur stood straight up, but he didn't bark. He didn't move. I grabbed his collar and we ran. Mark's dad came back with us and checked every room. Nothing. No sign of a break-in. No one inside. But from that day on, things didn't go back to normal. Not really. We started having strange dreams, seeing shadows move where there shouldn't be any, finding stuff out of place. Once, I found one of those photos in my sock drawer. Just one. The eyes were still burned. Years passed. We stopped talking about it. Buried it like a bad memory. Tried to move on. We're 25 now, adults, supposedly. One weekend, we decided to go smoke near the old woods. There's a secluded spot past the new housing development, down a path barely wide enough for a bike. We parked the car, walked out to the spot, lit up, laughed about stupid stuff from when we were kids. Then we walked back to the car. I popped the trunk to throw my backpack in, and froze. There, under my hoodie, were the photographs. Unburned, perfectly intact. The boy's eyes stared up at me, blank and lifeless. Mark saw them too. Neither of us said a word, we didn't have to. We grabbed them, lit them on fire, and buried the ashes in the woods. We didn't sleep for days. Some nights, I still hear the voice. "Welcome home, Josh." But I never opened the door.